So today we're going to be chatting to Zara about her upcoming surgery, which is happening very, very soon.
It is. We're only a couple of days away.
That is pretty exciting.
It's very exciting. I'm a little bit starting to get the nerves,
Yeah.
but there's been a lot of preparation, so I'm very excited.
How have you been holding up so close, and what have you been preparing?
So there's been a lot to prepare for. There's been, getting finances sorted, all the paperwork and approvals done, and also this close is more about planning for having the time off. So it's a week in the hospital, and then it'll be 6 to 8 weeks of recovery afterwards. So I'm just trying to make sure that all my work will be consistent. Just want to make sure that all my clients will be cared for while I'm unavailable.
Yeah. 6 to 8 weeks is a bigger time than I imagined.
Yeah, well, they say 6 to 8 weeks before you can go back to work. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be up and about during that time and be able to do a bit myself. But obviously, I'll have to take care and let myself recover properly.
Do you want to talk a bit about the process leading up to your upcoming surgery?
So one of the things that I guess I would have preferred to have more time for was the hair removal. So to have this surgery, they highly recommend that you have your hair removed from that area before you have the treatment.
Hair removal?
Normally people would have laser hair removal.
Yeah.
And, that takes a bit of time, but if you had a whole year, you could just go in and they space those treatments out. Unfortunately for me, COVID got in the way, and so I couldn't have laser while we were in COVID lockdown.
Because I thought, well, we've had, it's been coming up for a long time, but you're right, you haven't been able to go physically anywhere to get your treatment done.
Yeah, well, as it turns out, I went to where the surgeon recommends to have laser hair removal, and I booked a package to get all my treatments done, and I had one treatment, and then Melbourne got locked down, and so I couldn't go back. So now I've actually got just over $500 that I can go and spend after my surgery on something else.
I was going to say, I hope you got a refund, but yeah.
They wouldn't give me a refund, but they did say that I could swap to something else. Maybe some filler, who knows.
Some Botox.
Yeah.
Is there a process that you had to go through in order to be eligible to get surgery?
The approvals to sort of prove that you are in a mental health condition that you can have surgery. They have the WPATH standards, which is the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. And so you have to tick all those boxes and have letters from psychiatrists and specialists in the field before they will approve the surgery.
Did you find that was a smooth process?
It was actually, and I was able to access my psychiatrist online, so I didn't need to travel around and do
That's
that.
really handy.
So yeah, online appointments have been fantastic for me.
What about financial? You mentioned that it was a big financial step taking this surgery. Do you want to discuss that at all?
Yeah, so I was in the fortunate position where I could access superannuation to pay for it. And even accessing super was a bit of a process, having approvals written again by psychiatrists and psychologists, all their authorised people. But I had a quote from the surgeon, and so I applied using that quote to get that money covered. What I wasn't prepared for is $3.5 grand worth of electrolysis, which because I couldn't get laser, I had to have electrolysis in a short window, we ended up doing 27 hours worth of electrolysis to prepare.
And we went off track a little bit, so tell us a bit more about the electrolysis process.
So for those who don't know, electrolysis, they put a probe in along the hair follicle. Then they send out a pulse, which then kills the root of the hair, and then they pull the hair out. So it's one by one, every single hair gets treated individually.
Is it painful?
It's probably not as painful as I thought it was going to be.
1 to 10.
But it was, some areas were right up there near a 10. Whereas other areas, it was really surprising that how much the pain varied in different areas of your body. But So that was fun.
Yeah. And was it easy to find someone to get that done?
No, it was quite challenging actually. Because I already had my laser booked in down in Melbourne, so I rang them and said, "Do you do this?" They said no. I asked the surgeon's office, "Do you have anyone else to recommend?" They gave me a number of somebody. I rang them and they said they don't do it anymore. So then I posted on the trans forums, can anyone recommend somewhere? And I had a few places that people gave me names where they get treatments and that were trans friendly, but when I rang them, they said that they couldn't do electrolysis in that area. So I rang quite a few different places and they kept saying no, no, no.
Yeah.
I rang Complete Skin and Beauty and Ali told me, "I'm sorry that we don't do that area." And by this stage I was getting really upset and frustrated, and I said, "Well, why not? Why don't you do that?" And she said that it's a lot of strain on the electrolysis. They've got to concentrate, and because there's so much hair to remove and such a big area, because normally they just do little patches on the face. And thankfully she agreed for me to come in and have a consultation with their electrologist, and she said, "Well, you need to speak to the electrologist and see what they say about it." And when I did that, Emily, who's fantastic, and she said, "Yeah, we can do this." And so we started treatment.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because it's essential to get that done before surgery.
Well, it's not essential, it's highly recommended. Because...
What would happen if you weren't able to?
Well, if you can imagine that male genitals become female genitals, and so everything external becomes internal.
Yeah.
So where you had hair,
it becomes
women
internal
don't have hair inside there. It's not meant to be there. So you do not want hair growing in there. It would be very uncomfortable and require ongoing treatment to have it removed, which would require the surgeon because it's not an area that's easily accessible.
That's very true. But you were able to manage to get everything sorted out now.
Yes. Well, I hope so. I mean, we were cutting it very fine with our timing. So I only had a 3-month window by the time COVID lockdown opened up, and the girls at Complete Skin and Beauty were fantastic, scheduling appointments for me and squeezing me in as much as they could. And I ended up in the last few weeks, I was doing 3 hours a week of electrolysis spread out over 3 days. Yeah, so hopefully it's all good. We won't know until afterwards, I guess.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So as we get closer, what kind of support have you found helpful leading up to surgery?
Yeah, so I don't know anyone personally who's had this surgery. There are people who post their experiences on the trans support groups, but you know, their experiences are uniquely theirs, and because I don't know them personally, I don't know what the contributing factors are for, you know, their health and well-being, to see if they had you know, other complications because of their other conditions. And there's a lot of risks involved. It really does come down to the individual and your skin type, how your body responds to the treatment.
It feels like that you like going into something without taking on other people's biases and having like a fresh plate to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm an optimist, so I can go into it very positive if I don't have other people's experiences sort of weighing down on me.
I think you're one of the peppiest people I know. You're always like looking at the bright side of everything. So I assume there's, like any surgery, there's risks involved. Can you tell us how going into it that made you feel and what's involved in the risks?
Yeah, so there's a few risks which mean that the outcome might be that it will affect the rest of your life. I mean, this surgery affects the rest of your life. I'm concerned about that, but I'm not afraid. Like, I put my faith in the surgeon and I hope for the best. And there's nothing that I can do about it, so there's no point being scared because I can't change the outcome. It'll be, I'll go in, they'll do the best they can, and when I wake up, I'll find out what I have to deal with.
I feel like folks outside of the community hearing those kind of risk factors would think, why would you put yourself through that? You know what I mean? Like, so what do you feel like, how can you express how important this is to you?
Well, I've had suicidal ideation my entire life. And a lot of that is because of my gender dysphoria. And so if I come out of this surgery healthy with a body that I connect with, I potentially will not have suicidal ideation anymore.
It does make sense, because the perspective that this will impact your life positively for the rest of your life, and in ways that you probably can't even imagine yet, of how much this is going to be a positive impact. I can see why I would take those risks too.
And I'm not just going into the risks blindly. No. I've done everything that I can to mitigate those risks. I've chosen a good surgeon. I've looked after myself in the lead up to the surgery. So I've gotten as fit and healthy as I can. I've been eating healthier. I've cut out alcohol. I don't smoke. So I've reduced all the risk factors that I can control.
Yeah.
And now it's just a matter of putting my faith in the surgeon and hoping that they do a great job.
Yeah, you've covered all your bases. So we're going to check back in with you again after you've had surgery. Do you have expectations leading up to it that you can tell us about, and we'll see how you're going afterwards?
From what I know and imagine about the surgery and the recovery, the first couple of days I'll be a bit out of it, and I won't be able to see what's been done anyway because of bandaging and things. And I think that as soon as I have access to see how my body has changed, I think that's going to have the biggest impact on me. And I'm already feeling butterflies, so I'm hoping that they're the sorts of feelings that I have when that happens. But yeah, I hope that the recovery will be easy. I know there's going to be pain involved, and there's a lot of work involved in the recovery and maintenance, and making sure that the vaginal passage doesn't sort of heal up after surgery. You have to do things called dilation to make sure that all of that stays open and how you need it to be. And so I imagine that will be a little bit uncomfortable to begin with straight after surgery. But when all that settles down, I just feel like it's going to be the best feeling, having complete peace with my body and my soul and my mind and all of the good stuff. Yeah,
I hope so too. I'm incredibly excited for you.
Thank you.
So we're going to all look forward into checking in to see how you're doing after surgery, and of course we wish you all the best of luck, and if you need anything, reach out to the community. It's what we're here for.
Beautiful. Thank you everyone.